Hello and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the latest headlines. Union Cabinet clears 7th Pay Commission recommendations. Salaries of 47 lakh central government employees and 52 lakh pensioners to go up at least 23.5%. Monsoon session of Parliament to extend from 18th of July to 12th of August. Government to push for the passage of a crucial constitutional amendment bill related to GST. Delhi University's cut-off list touches unrealistic heights this time as well. Highest cut-off at 99.25% for BCom honours at Rajya College. And EU defines tough terms for Brexit, says free movement for migrants must for access to single market, even as Scotland lobbies to stay in EU. The big story, recommendations of the 7th Pay Commission were approved by the Cabinet yesterday. The pay hike will benefit over 1 crore central government employees and pensioners. The Cabinet also gave its nod to the National Mineral Exploration Policy yesterday.
पे और पेंशन के संबंध में जो रिकमेंडेशंस पे कमीशन की आई हैं, उन रिकमेंडेशंस को बाय एंड लार्ज सरकार ने स्वीकार किया है और वो रिकमेंडेशन 1 जनवरी 2016 से लागू होंगी. दे विल बी इंप्लीमेंटेड विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1 जनवरी 2016 एंड द एरियर्स, since we are towards the end of June, would also be paid in this year. This pay commission covers 47 lakh central government employees and 53 lakh pensioners.
Government finally gave its nod to the salary hike for central government employees on Wednesday by accepting the recommendation of 7th Pay Commission. However, the recommendation regarding abolition of some allowances will be further examined.
मौजूदा अलाउंसेस चलते रहेंगे जब तक कि एक सेक्रेटरीज कमेटी नए अलाउंसेस पे जो पे कमीशन ने कहा है उसको अध्ययन करके उसकी रिकमेंडेशन सजेस्ट नहीं करती. उसमें एक समय लगेगा. एक दूसरा ग्रुप बनेगा कि हर पे कमीशन की रिपोर्ट के बाद कुछ अनोमलीज आती हैं और अलग अलग कार्डर्स की अपनी अपेक्षाएं होती हैं. तो उन अनोमलीज की सुनवाई कोई कर ले और उन अनोमलीज को दूर करने की प्रयास करे जहां तक संभव है.
Government has said that arrears will be paid by this year end. An annual burden for pay, pension and arrears will be 1,02,100 crore rupees.
हमने ये नेशनल मिनरल एक्सप्लोरेशन पॉलिसी नई बनाई है. इसके माध्यम से हम अपनी संस्थाओं को भी सुदृढ़ करेंगे, रिसर्च को भी आगे बढ़ाएंगे. निजी क्षेत्र के लोग एफडीआई आकर्षित हो सके माइनिंग के क्षेत्र में, एक्सप्लोरेशन के क्षेत्र में. ये इस एक्सप्लोरेशन पॉलिसी के माध्यम से सुनिश्चित होगा और माइनिंग का क्षेत्र आगे बढ़ेगा. यह समय की आवश्यकता थी, इसलिए रेवेन्यू शेयर मॉडल के आधार पर हम सब लोग इस काम को आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं. इसलिए इस पॉलिसी की आवश्यकता थी.
Cabinet also approved 4 laning of 3 highway projects in Punjab, Odisha and Maharashtra. This is Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, moving on, amid the talks of a cabinet reshuffle in the first week of July, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair a meeting of the Council of Ministers today. The meeting will be attended by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, BJP President Amit Shah, among other cabinet members. Now, changes to the cabinet are likely to be announced before 6th of July when the Prime Minister leaves for Africa. According to sources, new ministers are likely to be added and some may be given an upgrade as well. Ministers of State Piyush Goyal and Dharmendra Pradhan may be promoted to the cabinet rank. Now, Piyush Goyal's shift to a more high-profile ministry has been speculated upon for months now. The reshuffle is also being looked at in the context of Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections, even though there might be no change in key ministries, but the state may get more representation. The cabinet cannot exceed 82 ministries. At least currently it has 70 members, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A dozen cabinet ministers are from Uttar Pradesh, which votes next year. Meanwhile, the monsoon session of Parliament is likely to begin from the 18th of next month. The government has recommended the dates for the session to the President.
Monsoon Satra 18 जुलाई से 12 अगस्त तक 18 जुलाई को बुलाने के लिए तैयार किया है और ये सेशन 12 अगस्त तक चलने का संभावना है। वही बहुत जरूरत आए तो इधर 2-3 दिन आगे भी कर सकते और कम भी कर सकते।
The Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs has recommended these dates for the monsoon session. The session, which is likely to have 20 working days, will see the government pushing for the passage of the crucial constitutional amendment bill related to GST.
Finance Minister had in detailed discussion with the Finance Ministers and Chief Ministers of the states also. Political parties have been spoken to and some of their concerns also are addressed. By and large, I am of the view that we have a wider support and we have enough numbers on the GST, but we would like that every party, because it will have effect on the states also, the government want to get the bill passed by a consensus. That is our effort. We are working in that direction. We'll be talking to other parties who still have some objections or some suggestions to be added, if any.
56 bills are pending before both the houses, 11 in Lok Sabha and 45 in Rajya Sabha. The government has asked ministries to come with at least 25 new bills for the monsoon session. The government is also likely to push for the passage of 3 bills replacing ordinances on the combined entrance exam for medical and dental colleges, as well as the one seeking amendments to the Enemy Property Act. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's move on. Well, gross bad loans held by banks could touch 8.5% of the total assets next year. What is more, 86% of such loans are being taken by large borrowers. Now, the RBI says that India's financial system is, however, stable, although it did admit that the banking sector is facing significant challenges.
Bad loans are crippling the banking sector. The RBI's Financial Stability Report says that from 5.1% in September 2015, gross bad loans of banks jumped to 7.6% in March 2016 and could touch 8.5% by 2017.
If there is a drought, then definitely the income, the resources which an industry or a businessman can generate for repayment of the loan and the interest which he is supposed to do when he is committed to take and make back the payment to the bank is in difficulty.
The RBI report says much of the risk is concentrated with a few large corporate borrowers, a fact that hugely threatens the banking system. Between September 2015 and March 2016, NPA ratio of large borrowers rose sharply from 7% to 10.6%. Top 100 borrowers alone accounted for 22.3%, a massive jump from just 3.4% in September 2015. The failure of the top 2 stressed borrowers could itself result in capital losses of 6.9% and 9.4% if the top 3 stressed borrowers fail.
Banks should adopt the more prudent approach while disbursing and sanctioning the loans, as well as the RBI has recently suggested the few mechanisms which banks should adopt more cautiously and more willingly, such as the CDR mechanism, the SDR mechanism, the 525 rule.
The RBI has submitted to the Supreme Court a list of the big defaulters who failed to repay loans of over 500 crore rupees. But the bank pleaded their names should not be made public because of a confidentiality clause that could impact business. Earlier, a Supreme Court bench headed by Chief Justice T.S. Thakur objected to the prevailing banking atmosphere and noted that big corporate house owners defaulted on loan repayments running into thousands of crores of rupees. Yet, they were enjoying vast amounts of personal wealth.
29 state-run banks wrote off 1.14 lakh crore of bad debts between financial years 2013 and 2015. Now, the Reserve Bank of India has set March 2017 as the deadline for the banks to clean up their balance sheets forcing them to promptly disclose NPAs and take remedial steps. Even capital infusion by the government is seen crucial to shore up state-run banks. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Sanjay, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, moving on, World Bank President Jim Yong Kim on Wednesday said that India needs to fix the problem of malnutrition and stunting among its young generation to better compete with global powers. Now, Kim, who is on a two-day visit to India, visited a Women and Child Development Center in the national capital where he met the children. He also assured World Bank's assistance to India in fighting malnutrition among children. He also visited a skills center in Delhi to view the efforts being made to impart professional skills to the youth of the country. During his visit, Kim will explore knowledge and financing opportunities as well as understand India's efforts on renewable energy and nutrition.
Children who are low height for age, who are malnourished, often don't have the same kind of neural connections as the children who are the appropriate height and weight for age. But this is something that can be fixed. The message I'm bringing here is that with the great things that are happening in centers like this, we can fix the problem of underheight, underweight. The word that is used is stunting. But we can fix this problem here in India, and then India will be prepared to compete with any country in the world.
Well, the Delhi University's first cut-off list for admissions to the 2016-17 academic session was out on Wednesday night, and unlike last year, no college listed 100% cut-off in the first list. However, the highest cut-off for the academic session has been announced by Ramjas College at 99.25% for BCom Honours, 98.75% for BCom and 98.5% for Economics Honours. Now, the cut-off for Hansraj College has remained unchanged across all streams, with Economics Honours being the highest at 98%. Sri Ram College of Commerce announced its cut-off at 98.25% for Economics Honours and 98% for BCom Honours. Now, Miranda House cut-off for science courses is also same as the last year, with the highest being for Economics Honours at 97.75%. Lady Sri Ram College has announced its cut-off for psychology at 98.5%, English 98.25%, economics 98% and commerce honours 98%. However, for the first time, the university saw a dip in the number of applications. The second cut-off list is expected on 2nd of July. And India test-fired a new surface-to-air missile developed in conjugation with Israel at the integrated test range, a defence base off the Odisha coast. A joint launch was carried out by defence personnel, DRDO officials and Israel Aerospace Industries. The missile is a product of a joint venture between India and Israel. Well, apart from the missile, the system includes a multifunctional surveillance and 3 alert radar for detection, tracking and guidance of the missile. As a precautionary measure, administration have made adequate arrangements to temporarily shift the civilians who are residing within a 2.5-kilometer radius of the launch pad during the trial time. Even fishermen of the sea have been told not to venture into the sea. In Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries. Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m.
Welcome back. Now, the United States has come down heavily on China for stalling India's entry into the Nuclear Suppliers Group, or the NSG. America said that one country can break a consensus in the atomic trading bloc and insisting that such a member should be held accountable. Now, describing India as a responsible and important player in the sphere of nuclear non-proliferation, U.S. Undersecretary for Political Affairs Thomas Shannon said that the US is committed to ensuring India's entry into the NSG while expressing regret that Washington was unsuccessful in making India a member of the bloc during the NSG plenary in Seoul last week. He also said that a consensus-based organization, one country, can break consensus. But in order to do so, it must be held accountable, not isolated. Shannon said that US would continue to work for India's inclusion in the group. He said that India's recent entry into the Missile Technology Control Regime, or the MTCR, highlighted the fact that the country is a responsible and important player in the road to non-proliferation. Let's get to the biggest international story. Well, Britain's divorce from the EU is going to be a rocky road if indications from the bloc's two-day meet are anything to go by. Now, there is no clarity on even how to begin the process of a disentanglement. Europe is refusing to engage in talks until Article 50 is triggered, and also insisting that UK has to accept the free movement of people to retain access to the single market. Meanwhile, Britain continues to reel under a leadership crisis, even as Scotland lobbied in Brussels for a chance to stay in the EU.
The two-day Brussels summit to discuss Britain's future after the Brexit vote concluded on Wednesday, with the European leaders saying that they expect Britain to notify them of its intention to leave as early as September by invoking Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty. EU also insisted that the UK has no prospect of keeping access to a single market until it continues to accept EU migration. This was the first time in 40 years that EU had a meeting without Britain.
Leaders made it crystal clear today. Access to the single market requires acceptance of all four freedoms, including the freedom of movement. There will be no single market à la carte.
While Europe grapples with the after effects of the UK vote, US President Barack Obama also expressed concern.
Short-term fallout of Brexit can be sensibly managed, but the long-term trends of inequality and dislocation and the resulting social division, those can't be ignored. How we respond to the forces of globalization and technological change will determine the durability of an international order that ensures security and prosperity for future generations.
Meanwhile, outgoing British Prime Minister David Cameron faced the Parliament for the first time since the referendum, delivering a stark message from Brussels on the challenges ahead for the UK.
All of the warnings were that if we voted to leave the EU, there would be difficulties in terms of our own economy and growth rates and instability in markets. We're seeing those things. We're well prepared for them in terms of the reaction of the Bank of England and the Treasury. But there's no doubt in my mind these are going to be difficult economic times.
The session also saw fiery clashes between Cameron and opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn, who is refusing to resign despite overwhelmingly losing a no-confidence vote by Labour MPs.
I have to say to the honourable gentleman, he talks about job insecurity and my 2 months to go. It might be in my party's interest for him to sit there. It's not in the national interest. And I would say, for heaven's sake, man, go.
While Cameron returned from the corridors of European power, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon was in Brussels to quote European leaders over ways Scotland could potentially remain in the EU.
Since I've been here today, I've found enormous interest in the referendum result, as you would expect. And I've also had a sympathetic response to the position Scotland now finds itself in, facing the prospect of being taken out of the European Union against our will, a position not of our making and not one that we wanted.
Besides fueling renewed talk of Scottish independence, Britain's shock vote has also sent the pound tumbling, hurt global markets and left a gaping leadership vacuum in the UK. Candidates from the ruling Conservative Party are jockeying to replace Cameron. However, a successor is not expected to be announced until early September. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, security remains tight at Istanbul's Ataturk airport even as air travel slowly returned to normal. Though passengers crowded the airport terminal, the sense of fear permeated all. The death toll from the suicide attacks reached 42 with more than 239 wounded. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that his country is being tested in the face of rising militancy in the region. Even though no group has declared responsibility for the attacks so far, Turkish officials believe Islamic State is responsible. And this was the deadliest in a series of suicide bombings this year in Turkey. The government declared a national day of mourning on Wednesday and also lowered flags at public and private institutions across the country to half-mast.
Terör olayını üstlenenler konusundaki düşüncemiz ağırlık kazanarak devam ediyor. DAEŞ olduğuna işaret ediyor. Herhalde bir iki gün içerisinde çalışmalar tamamlanır.
I know that our collective hearts, though, go out to the families of the latest victims of the horrific terrorist attacks perpetrated as well as incited by ISIL. The despicable attack at Istanbul's international airport yesterday that killed dozens and injured many more certainly bears the hallmarks of ISIL's depravity.
Let's get you some more international news in World Wrap. A black box recording from crashed Egypt Air Flight MS-804 confirms the smoke on board. The Egyptian committee investigating the crash said that it has extracted data from the flight recorder, which points at high temperature damage. The second black box, the cockpit recorder, is still being repaired in Paris. A convoy carrying a suspected Islamic State militants has been destroyed in airstrikes near the Iraqi city of Fallujah. An Iraqi security source said that jihadists had been attempting to flee the offensive by government forces who recently recaptured the city. Earlier this week, the Iraqi government announced that Fallujah was fully under its control after a 5-week offensive. The leaders of Turkey and Russia have spoken for the first time since the downing of a Russian military jet. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Turkish President Recep Erdogan on Wednesday agreed to meet in person during their first phone call. The call came after Turkey expressed regret earlier this week to Russian President and to the family of the pilot who was killed in the incident. Now to some sporting action. Well, despite hit by plenty of rains, it was business as usual at Wimbledon on day 3. Well, top seeds Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic entered round 3 with comfortable wins in their round 2 contests. While amongst the women, third seed Agnieszka Radwanska also raced to the third round with straight sets victory.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic remains on course to defend his Wimbledon title after beating Adrian Mandarino in straight sets to reach round 3 on Wednesday. Djokovic beat the Frenchman 6-4, 6-3, 7-6 in 2 hours and 4 minutes. The 29-year-old Serb now has won 30 successive Grand Slam matches and currently holds all 4 titles. Djokovic will next face the winner of the match between 28th seed American Sam Querrey and Thomas Bellucci of Brazil.
Well, I have to be very grateful to have the opportunity to make a history of the sport, and of course every single record that I managed to achieve in the last couple of years is important and is unique to me. So every next one that I have a possibility to achieve is motivation more. So that's how I look at it.
British qualifier Marcus Willis's remarkable Wimbledon run came to an end with the defeat by 7-time champion Roger Federer on the centre court. Willis, the world number 772, who came through 6 rounds of qualifying and the first round proper, was beaten 6-0, 6-3, 6-4 in round 2. Third seed Federer could play another Briton next as he awaits either Dan Evans or Ukraine's Alexander Dolgopolov.
Well, I thought I got my fair share of support, but he deserved more. He deserved more in the bigger moments. He played some great points. He fought hard. He's a great personality for a centre court like this. And
In the women's draw, world number 3 Agnieszka Radwanska eased through her rain-delayed first-round match, beating Ukraine's Katerina Kozlova 6-2, 6-1. Radwanska, who reached the final in 2012, has never lost a first-round match on the Wimbledon grass, and she kept up that record, sealing victory on her third match point.
Of course, I was happy. I knew that I think 3 days it's not good weather right now, so well, I was really lucky to play on the center today, that's for sure.
In the last match of the day, one of the youngest women in the draw, Belinda Bencic, cruised into the second round of Wimbledon, courtesy of a straight sets victory over Bulgarian Svetlana Pirokova. It took the Swiss under 80 minutes to see off her opponent, eventually coming through 6-2, 6-3 to progress in routine fashion. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, on to some cricket news, and former skipper Anil Kumble formally took charge as the head coach of the Indian cricket team on Wednesday, days ahead of the team's 7-week tour to the West Indies. Now, interacting with the team, being led by Virat Kohli, Kumble urged the players to inculcate self-belief and develop themselves as leaders. He said that he was confident the team would do well during the upcoming tour, where they play a 4-test series.
As the training camp for the Indian cricket team's West Indies tour began in Bengaluru on Wednesday, the newly appointed head coach of the team, Anil Kumble, interacted with his team for the first time since taking charge. Leading the team into his first assignment to a 7-week tour of the Caribbean, Kumble urged his players to always show fighting spirit.
I'd like to observe and try and see how the team is shaping up, and at this point in time I thought that with the bowlers it's the strategy that I can certainly play a part of, and that's something which I'm looking at, trying to get closer to the bowlers and understanding what their needs are. Win or lose, the fighting spirit will always be there.
Kumble also exuded confidence of a good tour of the West Indies, the country where he himself displayed exemplary courage on the field back in 2002, bowling with his face heavily bandaged after a bouncer broke his jaw.
The last time that India played, like I mentioned, had a successful series. We won 1-0 in a 3-test match series, and I think Ishant was the man of the series. So there is, experience. He will be the leader, to take the bowling attack. And Virat has already played there. Murli Vijay did well on that series. Amit Mishra has played. So there is experience in this team who have experienced those conditions. Obviously, I have been there before, so I will bring in that as well.
The former skipper, however, graciously skirted the appointment row involving him and Ravi Shastri, saying the success of the team depends on the players, not on the coach.
It's not about Ravi or Anil or whoever it is. It's not about the head coach. It's about the players. It's about the team. And from my point of view, whether it is Ravi, whether it's me, or whether it's any Indian who's following Indian team, we all want the Indian team to do well. We all want the Indian team to perform at its best.
Kumble's appointment ahead of Ravi Shastri had not gone down too well with the former team director. Shastri was the top contender for the job until Kumble became a candidate. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of news. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.